Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here. I just wanted to make a video before the Better Call Saul Season 6 finale comes out. I have been wanting to make topic videos for a while, and this is a great topic, very relevant to the finale tomorrow night. And it won't be the last video where I talk about this, because obviously Safi would like to talk about it too, probably. There's this phrase. There's a phrase that, it's a very relevant phrase to this show in particular. And that phrase is, the show must go on. And that's a phrase that basically it means, regardless of anything, the show must go on. Regardless of any circumstances, any sort of difficulties, any sort of issues, the show must go on. That phrase is not being followed anymore. Now it's become, the show must end, because, we don't want to overstay our welcome. It's like this weird mindset, and now let me explain to you how this originated. There used to be a lot of shows, they had a standard formula. You had 10 seasons max, and basically the goal would be to get to 10 seasons. And you'd have like 24 to 36 episodes a season, and sometimes you'd have movies too, and it was a very, very understandable thing, because TV is TV. It's long-form storytelling, not short movies that are extended. Like, they're not miniseries. That's what miniseries are for. Rose Red, nowadays, it would have just been a Netflix show with 2 seasons of 10 episodes. The Shining TV miniseries, that would have been a show with like 2 seasons of 6 episodes or something. And the problem is that when you have that amount of episodes, you're going to get some bad ones, obviously. And some of them are going to seem like filler, and some of them are just going to be fun one-off episodes where they just do whatever they want to do for fun. A great example of that would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which had a fantastic musical episode where all the characters, I think Dawn steals like a necklace from a demon or something, and it makes it so that everyone can only speak by singing. And it is a fantastic A+ television episode. Nowadays, that episode wouldn't have existed, because they wouldn't have gotten to make that. And they even said that, they said, we're so lucky we got to do this. We had so much fun. We wanted to do this. Wouldn't happen nowadays, because we don't want to overstay our welcome. And you had other shows where they would get worse as they went on. They would taper off at a certain point. I can't really think of a good example of that personally, because I think that's all subjective. Like, the obvious example related to Vince Gilligan would be the X-Files. But honestly, the problem with the X-Files was more so to do with the writing of the earlier seasons, where they did not learn from their mistakes. And the show was like finding its footing. Season 3 came along, and that was pretty good overall. It felt very consistent too. But then the rest of the seasons are like a huge disaster. And Another issue was that you had these two main characters, Mulder and Scully, and it didn't really feel like, I don't know, I think that Mulder, it was good that he left by the end, because his character, he was really, like, I don't think the actor was into it. Like, I just think if he doesn't want to be there, then just replace him, because they replaced him with the Terminator guy, Doggett, and he's like 1,000 times better than Mulder ever was. So, but I would personally say the show got worse because it's centered all around Mulder. And seasons 6, 7, kind of 8, it's just all about him, all about him. Oh no, he's going to leave. So we're going to have these weird episodes where, you have an episode directed by him and then an episode directed by her. And never would have gotten those nowadays because can't overstay our welcome. But then in seasons 8 and 9, they actually get a lot better, in my opinion, because he's gone. And it's like, finally, it's going back to a good show where it's like you have multiple stories that are like all interesting and, they're fun and in different ways. And I really, really have enjoyed season 9 so far, even though everyone says season 8 and 9 sucks. That the later X-Files all suck. Maybe the new ones do, though, so I don't know about that yet. But that's the obvious example. And that's the example that I think Vince Gilligan uses when he talks about the stupid theory. So to break down the theory, it's really simple. The theory is you should only have 5 seasons or less, and they should only be 10 to 13 episodes at max. Because if you have anything more than that, you're overstaying your welcome, and you'll have bad episodes, and you'll have bad seasons, and the show will be bad at the end, and you don't want the show to end on a bad note. You don't want to have a bad Breaking Bad season, and that's where it ends. Well, the thing is that I just think that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, there has been so many bad television shows where there's like hardly any episodes or any seasons. Like, for example, The Lone Gunman, the spin-off show of the X-Files. I would say that's a masterpiece of a show. But there's only 13 episodes. And the pilot episode is a pile of shit. And that's only one season. And that's the very first episode. So this whole theory about, we can't have more than this amount of episodes and this amount of seasons is just total trash. It's probably one of the stupidest things I've ever heard ever. Because it's almost like number one is laziness, because obviously making more episodes and more seasons is a lot of work, and it's pretty tough from what I can tell. Number two, though, the big thing is that it is an anti-creative mindset, because no matter what, when you have a creative constraint like that, I can't make this amount of episodes, I can't make more than this amount of seasons, it's going to show in your work, and it's going to affect the quality of the work. And we've seen that in Better Call Saul. Seasons 1 through 3 are having a lot of fun. They're just chillaxing. They didn't care about all the Breaking Bad fanboys who said, when is he going to become Saul? When is he going to become Saul? They just played at their own pace. But then when season 4 came along, That it was like they had this checklist and they were like, oh shit, we've already had 4 seasons, and if we haven't more than one more, we're going to overstay our welcome. And so right when season 4 happened, they had this checklist where, okay, we have to fulfill that check, 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 and then we can end the show. And they would have all these shitty episodes where nothing would happen, the same things would happen over and over, and the real reason is because they didn't want to introduce new stories and new characters because they knew that that would take more time. Like the whole thing with Werner getting killed, and then there's no more construction crew for the lab at that point, and we never get to see who finishes it. That is bad storytelling, and it easily could have been avoided by having another story, or to just keep Werner there to finish it, and then at the very end you have the stupid storyline happen with him getting killed. So this, and now at the very end, it's just a complete disaster to where I'm genuinely embarrassed and I'm not even going to watch the finale. Because it's so rushed, it's jumping around all over the place with no purpose. It's a bunch of pretentious fan service. The characters make no sense. The story makes no sense, and I'm sick of it. And that's what you get when you have this mentality, this anti-creative mentality of we can't do more than this amount of episodes in this amount of seasons. And in fact, they that I guess that has to just do more with another aspect of the show. But that's the big thing. That's the big thing nowadays, though, is that every show now isn't more than 13 episodes, isn't more than 10 episodes. It's like that shitty mentality has been applied to every television show and every network, and I can't stand it. I think it's the worst thing to ever happen to television. And that's saying something, because there's been a lot of bad television show cliches or trends. Like one of the bad ones from the olden days would be they would just recast characters, or they would just have characters disappear and they wouldn't say anything about it. Like especially the Andy Griffith show. One of the running jokes was that characters would straight up disappear. You know, Andy had this big, beautiful blonde girlfriend named Peggy, and then boom, she's gone. And you know, you have Ellie from season 1. She's an iconic character. Boom, gone. No mention of she left, she moved away. Like just shitty shit. Okay, like terrible. And then the thing with Velma Lou. Barney left Mayberry, so then Velma Lou just suddenly disappears. Like, like just some of the worst storytelling ever is just in those little points like that. So I will say that you know, old TV shows are not, they're not vulnerable, they're not invincible from scrutiny in terms of that. And what I actually did is I came up with this little fan fiction story that I still would kind of like to finish, where, you know, Barney, he has this cousin Virgil, and he's really creepy, and he's really goofy and creepy, and you know, he had an abusive father, and I thought it would have been cool if maybe Virgil was like a serial killer cannibal in the mountains of Mayberry, or outside Mayberry, and he would kidnap people and make them disappear and eat them. And I thought that could be a pretty good explanation as to why all these people have disappeared from Mayberry. You know, like, what about the manicurist, the woman manicure? Oh wait, didn't she leave? Didn't she have a fiance who wanted to leave? I don't know. Oh yeah, she did. That sucked. But that whole mentality, it's so restrictive, and it makes it so that every TV show now, instead of feeling, quote, long and drawn out, every TV show now is going to feel short and rushed. And we already have seen that happen, like with Dark Winds, another AMC show that just came out. You know, if that show had come out 10 years ago, it would have been 13 plus episodes, and it would have probably been better, because the season became very rushed towards the end, and the finale was a joke. And it's even worse with the finales, because for some reason nobody knows what a finale means anymore. And also, they're starting this trend where they shorten finales. So American Horror Story last year, 30-minute finale for their vampire story. And it was probably one of the worst television episodes of all time. It was horrible. It was god-awful. Ugh. So, needless to say, this mindset that has led to Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 13, Saul Gone, this mindset is bad for television. It's bad for movies. It's bad for creativity. And it's bad for everyone. It's just bad all around. There's no benefits to restricting your creativity by saying, we can't make more than that many seasons and that many episodes. There's nothing good to that, unless you're doing a mini-series, which is obviously built to do that, where it's like, okay, this is just like a long movie. So anyways, that's my thoughts on The Show Must Go On. You know, there's so many episodes that I never would have gotten to see. So many good episodes I never would have gotten to see if they always had this mindset of, we can't overstay our welcome. You know, like, I'm just thinking about the Andy Griffith Show again. And this is my last example. Andy Griffith's Show had 8 seasons. Still not enough, in my opinion. Of course, what happened at the end was Barney did a dipshit thing in real life, and he signed a contract to be in shitty-ass fucking movies that are some of the worst comedy movies I've ever seen, because he wanted to do movies. Huge mistake, probably the biggest mistake of his career. But in season 7, there was probably my favorite episode of the show in history, called Dinner at 8. And it's all about Andy, and he has dinner at home, but then it turns out somebody else called him and told him to come over and have dinner. And then he goes over to someone else's house to come over and have dinner. And so he's just eating dinner at people's houses over and over and over and over again. And of course, this is Mayberry, so everyone has to eat everything on the plate. They have to be nice. They have to be kind and courteous. And it leads to him just basically killing himself with spaghetti, my favorite food. And that is my favorite episode of the whole show. It's hilarious. It's a masterpiece episode. And we never would have gotten that episode in 2022. You know why? Because if it was 2022, it would have ended after season 5. And they would have said, ooh, you got to know when to leave the party. That's another bullshit saying that they said to excuse the horrible disgrace that is the last season of Better Call Saul, the horrible piece of shit show that, this show is really turned into a giant failure. And I really can't emphasize enough. After this whole fiasco is over with ranking and everything, I'm going to pretend like seasons 4, 5, and 6 never existed. And I'm just going to pretend like that forever. And I'm never going to support anything the creators of Better Call Saul make again. Because I never want to get invested in something where I know that, it's going to be rushed to an end. Because the creators don't have the mindset of the show must go on. So please like this video and comment and tell me what you think about the show must go on. And then please subscribe to this channel if you are excited to see our thoughts on Better Call Saul's ending. Bye everybody, Seuss.